Hi, I'm Colette here on Which Ways, showing you today how to make a pendulum out of a necklace. So what you need is a necklace on a chain that can easily slide along that chain. And you need a necklace also that has a clasp type end like so. And so the first thing that you do to make your pendulum is gently just let the pendant, and it doesn't need to be this big. I picked a big one so that you could see what I was doing. Just slide that down to one end of the chain. And if it doesn't fall off the chain, great, you're good to go. That's all you need to do. You have a pendulum. However, a lot of times this little clasp at the top that slides along the chain is large and will slide right off the end of your necklace. So in that case, slide it gently down towards the end of the necklace that has the clasp. And then you just take your clasp and hook it around the chain like so. And then you have a pendulum. I wanted to show you a couple other examples of ones that I made and use. And this one is just a resin stone that I made on a gold chain. And I use this one quite a bit, especially if I'm working somewhere where I might lose it because it shows up well. I'm working with it outside and it's pretty good sized. But my favorite one is this guy. And this is the original one I got from the dowser that taught me. And it's very traditional among dowsers. The pendle is metal. And I really like the weight of it. I like the feel of it. It's a good length for me, but it is small and sometimes I do lose it. It disappears for a while and then comes back. But I've so far always found it and I always want to find it. The preference about whether you use stone or metal for the pendle part of your pendulum is totally personal. It's what you like. And often people say to me that when they pick up various pendles, it just feels right. They know which one is theirs. And just go to a store, ideally, if you can, somewhere and look at different pendulums. You might actually try a few different ones. Order a metal one online because those aren't as often in the stores. Just try them out and see what works for you. Play with some pendants and necklaces and see what happens. So how do you actually use a pendulum? A pendulum is used to get yes or no answers. And a lot of times when we're collecting psychic information, it can be really overwhelming and there can be many different types or groups of information. And so I find it really helpful sometimes just take a step back and have a very simple yes or no answer rather than trying to get a whole bunch of information to sort through. So you start by having your feet flat on the ground, no leg crossing, and no arm crossing. You want nothing crossing. And so what I do is, because I'm getting psychic information, I cast a circle. This is a personal preference. Lots of people don't cast circles. I do for many things. This is one of them. And the reason that I cast a circle for getting a yes/no answer on my pendulum is I want to make sure that the energy that is answering the question is either only my own divine inner knowing, or it's a being that I trust and have a relationship with. And so I cast a circle. And if you don't know how to cast a circle, I put a video up a couple weeks ago about that. So to start, you, as I said, have your feet flat, cast, and then your pendulum. I was taught that the length of the chain matters. I was taught 4 to 6 inches is the ideal length. I have found over the years teaching this that lots of students like different lengths. Some people want a really long length. They feel like they can get the pendulum moving easier. But this is kind of the length that I like. It's probably just about 4 inches. And then you are ready to get your yes or no answers. So once you've established a length that feels comfortable for you, and you might have to experiment with that a little bit just by playing and randomly swinging, going, oh, I feel like this is the length. I like to ground and center, warm my hand, and then place one hand underneath. I think that helps. But again, it's very individual and experiment. I see this as making a little container of energy to help enliven the pendulum. So then once I've done that, I ask, what's my yes answer? And I'm getting a circular clockwise for my yes. And what's a no answer for me? And you might have variations on that, like yes could be back and forth or side to side. No might be circular in either direction. And I think that maybe varies for people. And you might also, when you start, find that your yeses and no directions vary. For me, right away, it was this was yes and this was no. And that really hasn't changed. But for some people, it's really helpful to say, what's my yes today? I also was taught that it's good to ask, am I clear enough to dowse today before you start? Because your physical, emotional, and mental health is important in terms of the clarity of the answers you get. But witchcraft is all about changing consciousness at will. So if you get a no, you have the tools or can learn the tools to shift your consciousnness so that you are ready to dowse, unless, of course, you're physically ill. So when you're starting to learn what is a yes or no, a lot of people have a hard time getting it to move. And so I actually invite people to just push it a little bit, give it a little bit of movement, and then let it do what it's going to do. In order to get good with pendulums, you need to practice them a lot and find some basic question that you can ask on the regular to get a lot of practice at yes or no's. And if you had trouble getting a yes or no answer, just asking if what's my yes, what's my no, it can be helpful to take a question that you know what the yes is. Like, is today Thursday? Which it is. And then ask, is today Thursday? Yes. Is today my vacation day? No. Okay, so try questions if yeses or nos, just asking what a yes or no is doesn't work for you. I was also taught to just clear my pendulum with my hand and say thank you after every time I ask a question and get an answer. I find that when people are first starting to learn how to do this, that kind of breaks the rhythm for them. And it's difficult to get it back going because at first it's just really hard to get a little momentum moving and be confident and trust it. Keep your eyes open. That is helpful. Keep your eyes on the pendulum. You might have to close them at first to center, but keep your eyes open. And that will work. I feel like people ask me also often, where is this answers coming from? So I feel like it's comes from a lot of different places, and I've been given a lot of different answers. The basic answer is that the part of deity or the divine nature that is inside yourself can tap into that universal knowledge and get a yes or no. I also work with beings and guides, and I feel like they sometimes give me yeses or nos. If you want more information on dowsing, there's a lot of dowsing societies out there, both local and national and international, that have newsletters you can send for and you can join for it, usually for a fairly nominal fee. If you live in a major city, there might even be meetings to go to. Dowsing is really, really fun, and it's been used historically for finding things, water, metals, electrical lines, and it's one of the divination arts that actually is used fairly extensively in the mundane world. Thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed learning about divination, I am going to do a public workshop on divination in the fall, I think in October, and I will put a link to that in the description below. Thanks for watching again, and be